the logistical cost is quite substantial. It's quite huge if you'll have to look at it in terms of cost. Besides, of course, there is an additional demand. The capacity has depleted. Very soon you'll see that there will be a lack of equipment. There will be no containers available to be supplied to the market. Already in the last 2 weeks, I think the freight rates have skyrocketed.
Now, South Africa's busiest harbour, the Port of Durban, handles over 60% of our country's container traffic. It's our gateway to the world. But here's the shocker. Almost none of the cargo coming in or going out is being scanned. We're talking about millions of tons of goods. And according to multiple sources, Durban has only one functional cargo scanner for the entire port. That means thousands of containers move in and out every single day unchecked. Now, let's just look at the risks now. That means drugs, that means illicit goods, that means weaponry could be going in and out of this country without us knowing. Think about what that means. Drugs, illegal weapons, counterfeit goods, and even human trafficking can easily slip through. And yet the same government that talks about national security and state capacity can't even scan what's entering our own.
We can't even accommodate our own vessels that are given the CTOC status because, I mean, the waiting period, the congestion in Durban is humongous. It's quite colossal. The waiting period, we're looking at about 20 days at this point in time.
The ongoing conflict at the Red Sea means that shipping lines are going to be disturbed. And as they are disturbed, it means basically that the supply of raw materials could also be disrupted. That brings in about 14 days at sea and therefore pushes price of shipping lines very, very high and price of goods and services, which is not good for us as consumers.
Orders. Now, before we blame the dock workers or customs officers, let's be clear. This is a failure of governance. It's a symptom of a state that's decayed from the top down. The South African Revenue Services and Transnet have been warning for years that the Durban port is collapsing under poor management, broken equipment, and corruption. But nothing changes. Why? You ask, because fixing it doesn't benefit the politically connected, doesn't benefit the political agenda. No, it doesn't serve them. Why must we serve the people instead of serving ourselves? Greedy thugs. We have ministers flying first class, attending investment conferences overseas, talking about industrialization and economic growth. Yet the very gateway to that economy is rotting. How do you talk about job creation when the harbor, the lifeline of our exports and imports, is basically an open door for crime and revenue loss? Durban should be South Africa's pride, a modern port driving trade and development. Instead, it's a monument to poor governance. Containers sit in backlogs for weeks. Equipment is outdated, power failures, corruption in contracts, and no investment in scanners or digital systems. It's no wonder our economy bleeds billions in lost revenue every year. Trucks wait for days just to get into the harbor and drop off containers, and they wait for days to leave the harbor because of how long the lines are, because of how tedious the process is just to exchange cargo between the imports and the exports. The real tragedy is that the government doesn't even hide the rot anymore. We've normalized inefficiency. We shrug when the Auditor General exposes mismanagement. We sigh when Transnet collapses. How is it that our ports are ranked at the bottom of the the 414 ports that exist throughout the world. We are literally number 414, last place. We are so low. We are worse than Angola. And yet, when ordinary South Africans speak out, they're told to be patient. But patience doesn't scan containers. Patience doesn't stop smuggling. And patience doesn't rebuild a state that's been hollowed out by cadre deployment and greed. The people running these ports need to be held accountable, not the workers, the executives, the ministers, and the political appointees who turned Durban Harbour into a playground for smugglers. Imagine this, a port so poorly governed that international shipping companies now avoid Durban because it's slow, it's unsafe, it's unreliable. That's not just bad for business, it's national sabotage. Now, Durban's harbour is not scanning 99% of cargo. Isn't it just about security? It's a symbol of how South Africa's institutions have collapsed under the weight of corruption and incompetence. We can't build a new economy on broken systems. We can't trade with the world when our own gates are guarded. And we can't talk about a better South Africa until we confront the truth. Poor governance is our biggest national crisis. It cannot be that we're number 404 out of 404. All our harbors and ports in this country are literally 390 and lower. I'm Kuhle Maseko, and this has been 10 Minutes with Kuhle. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That's the least you can do. It helps in keeping the truth burning, as well as you can support this channel by becoming a paid member, which is as cheap as 20 Rand. As well as you can buy me a coffee in the comments below by sending a super chat. Till next time, shalom.
The report acknowledges that South African containers, even with these improvements, Durban was ranked 403rd out of 403 ports, making it the lowest performing port in the index for 2024. According to the report, only 52% of a vessel's time in port was spent productively at berth, with the remaining 48% spent waiting at anchor or on arrival operations. Guga or Nguga Port ranked 402nd out of 403 ports, and Port Elizabeth ranked 395th out of 403 ports. Siyabonga Mthembu, partner and Gqeberha managing partner at BDO South Africa, explains how the Red Sea crisis exacerbated the challenges that South Africa was already facing.
It wasn't good. I mean, I think linking it again with the local issues that we are currently having, I mean, you combine the two, then it's almost when I almost call it a disaster for us, because we're dealing with what we're dealing, and we're dealing with in terms of our local issues, the infrastructure issues, the inefficiencies that I spoke about, and then now you're adding another additional issue. So it is something that had a negative impact on us as a country in terms of our performance.
The South African Association of Ships Operators and Agents criticizes the report, saying it doesn't take into account the amount of capital expenditure that has been spent to improve operational efficiencies at the ports. Its CEO, Peter Besnard, refers to the work that Transnet has done so far as proof.
We concede that there was a big vacuum where nothing was spent in the ports, and we went downhill, so to speak. But there has been a tremendous drive on the part of Transnet, and in particular the group CEO, Mrs. Michelle Phillips, to purchase new equipment, and I think she's still continuing in her efforts. It's a mammoth task. Not only is it port related, but it's a backup to the port in Transnet Freight Rail that they are trying to also turn around, and I'm pretty confident that that will happen in the not too distant future. Of course, rail is an important part of the terminal to evacuate containers, and also to bring containers to the port.
Cape Town improved its container port performance index score by nearly 240 points, marking one of the strongest gains globally. The index notes that the ranking for Cape Town has been significantly affected by longer vessel arrival times, meaning waiting times at anchor, while the time spent at berth did not change substantially between 2023 and 2024.
Cape Town was noticed for showing great improvement. Cape Town recently bought in their ports 28 new cranes in the last 3 months, and those are coming online now, and there's been a market increase in the efficiency at the Cape Town ports. And as you said, just getting this efficiency is critical for South Africa's GDP and to create economic growth.
I've been in meetings where Cape Town has been praised. They've been very proactive. We had quite a big delay of vessels in Cape Town, especially during this recent citrus season. But proactive and forward planning by the personnel in Cape Town made a world of difference. It's something that is to be likened and not brought the port down rather than elevated.
Mthembu says despite the improvements made so far, it will still take some time for this progress to reflect in the index.
Just because of, I guess, the damage that was created due to some of the issues we've had in terms of infrastructure, in terms of cable theft, in terms of mismanagement and all of that. So it's not something that we can fix over time. It is going to take time. I think what's going to help as well, I think it's the private-public partnership that we're seeing, where we're seeing private sector coming on board to basically assist Transnet in creating those efficiencies.